Warning. Everything this guy with the raccoon hat is about to say, you should do the opposite of it. This video is intended to show you what makes you anxious. If you prefer to be anxious, do as he say. If you would rather avoid being anxious, do the opposite of what this guy says. Again, viewer discretion is advised. Proceed with caution.
Before I start this video, I want to know, why do you want to be anxious in the first place? Because you clicked on this video so you can be anxious for less than $100. So get your wallet out and let's get anxious, okay? The first way you can get anxious for less than $100, all you got to do is let yourself get hungry. Simple, extremely simple, but extremely effective at the same time. Let me tell you why. When you get hungry, what happens is your body goes into survival mode. You ever been hungry before where you ain't ate all day long and you're like, you're mad for no reason. Then you get mad and then you get emotional and then you're like, what the freak? Like you don't know what to do. And after that, you're like, okay, what's going on with me? Why am I feeling like this? The reason you anxious and aggressive and upset is because once you get hungry, your body goes into survival mode, which is usually called fight or flight. And with that, fight means you get aggressive. Flight means you get anxious, you want to run away. So if you get hungry, you're going to get anxious, most likely. Or if you find yourself getting anxious for no reason, it could be because you're hungry. So if you get anxious, ask yourself, when was the last time I ate something? And you'll see that the last time you ate something may have been a long time ago. Yeah, go from there. The next way you can get anxious is to focus on everything around you, because there's so much happening. And if you focus on everything around you, you're gonna freak out because your focus is divided. It's not all concentrated on one simple thing. It's everywhere. If your focus was like rain, it'd be a rainstorm on a rainy day, because your focus would be scattered all over the place. So if you want to be anxious, just focus on everything and everybody. Don't just focus on this one simple thing or the one person you're talking to. Focus on everything. Focus on the clouds. Focus on the rain. Focus on the ground. Focus on the people around you. Focus on your breath. Focus on every hair on your head, every hair on your body. Focus on how you breathe. Focus on how you sound. Focus on all of this at the same time so you can become as anxious as you possibly can. And after that, you know what happens? You get anxious, and then you become anxious that you're becoming anxious. Now that you become anxious because you're anxious, you're gonna become more anxious because you're anxious and not knowing why you were anxious in the first place. And after that, you sit down, have a cup of tea, you're like, okay, I'm anxious. But that's okay, because I got anxious for less than $100 and I didn't have to pay for it. So all is good. Next way to get anxious is, let's think about what you could say wrong. Okay? You want to talk to somebody or talk to a whole lot of people. Let's think about what could go wrong. What could possibly go wrong if I say it this way, if I say the wrong words, or what's gonna happen if I say X, Y, and Z. Maybe they'll do this, maybe they'll say that. Maybe they won't like me if I do it that way, or say it that way, or present it that way. Yeah, let's get anxious about that. Let's just do it. Let's think about it. Let's overthink about it. Let's overanalyze every word, sound, breath, how long I'm gonna say it, how I'm gonna say it, the pitch, the volume, everything about how I'm gonna say it and what I'm gonna say it. Let's get anxious that way. And if I were to put a price on each way you get anxious, the first one would be $2. This one would be $5. On to the next one. The next way you can get anxious is think about what could go wrong if you were to do the wrong thing. I know we talked about saying the wrong thing, but let's talk about doing the wrong thing. Whether you be walking, talking, in a car, driving, anywhere, wherever you're going, or you could just be running. What could possibly go wrong? What could go wrong with walking or running? A lot could go wrong with possibly walking or running or driving. Anything could go wrong with it. You know why? Because we like to overthink. When we overthink, we get anxious. When we're anxious, we worry. When we worry, we freak out. When you freak out, that's when that cycle of overthinking, your overthinking happens all over again. So with this one, if you want to become anxious, what's the worst possible thing that could go wrong? Think about it by not thinking about it. Next way to become anxious for less than $100 would be try to predict what somebody's gonna do because you're psychic. And I don't mean as in trying to be a strategist or being strategical, like if this was chess or if you were making some kind of move to do something. I mean in general, everyday regular life. You go up to a cashier and you're trying to think, what do I want to say? What am I going to say? What am I going to do? What are they going to say? How am I going to react to what they're going to say? What am I going to say to what they're going to say? Think about how the whole conversation in your head ahead of time. And then when things don't go the way you thought they were going to go, you're going to get even more anxious because you thought you knew what was going to happen and it didn't happen at all. Now you're freaking out even more. So it's like, crap, what do I do now? What do you do in that situation when you get to that point to where you think you thought you were psychic, you found out your psychic abilities did not work? They're gone completely. With that in mind, stay anxious, my friend. If I were to give this one a price, it would be 50 cents because I don't think any of y'all are psychic. If so, drop a comment down below. I'm curious and want to know. The next way you can become anxious for less than $100 would be stir up an ant pile and try to focus on every single ant at the same time. Not only will this break your focus, it's going to break your attention, it's going to make you freak out a little because it's like an illusion type of thing. Trying to focus on too many different things at one time, it's going to make you feel crazy because it's going to seem as if it's way more ants than there actually are. As simple as that sounds, it is what it is. If you don't believe me, go outside because at the making of this video, it's spring. And I'm sure it's ant piles in your yard or somebody else's yard that you know of. You can go do it and try it out and let me know how it goes. Next way to become more anxious is to go into a crowded room. Clap as loud as you can 5 times, like, and see what happens. Once you clap 5 times and get everybody's attention, walk away. Knowing you don't like attention, you're gonna get all the attention in the room, even if it's for a split second or a few seconds. If you wanna become more anxious, just try it out, see what happens. Especially if you're not a people person. Or if you don't like attention from people, you're gonna start thinking like, oh crap, look what I did now. I'm gonna become more anxious because I don't know what people are thinking of me. Everybody's looking at me. What are they gonna do? What are they gonna say? What are they gonna think about me? It's like, okay, I got everybody's attention now. Let me make my smooth exit out of here. So with this one, price would be, let's say, $25. And I know some of these I didn't really give a price to, but that's because some of these were lowball, 50 cent, 25 cent. And the ones that didn't have a price, let's get those 25 cent, 50 cent. We can go from there. Next way, or the best way to make yourself anxious would be ask yourself, what if, and add a negative situation onto it. And by that, I'm gonna tell you how that works. Once you say, what if, your imagination opens up and you're like, okay, let's see what's gonna happen. Once you say, what if, you add that situation, your brain's like, boom, let me show you what's gonna happen. Let me make that happen for you. It creates that feeling of like, okay, when you ask yourself, what if, and you add a negative situation onto it, what happens is your brain's gonna be like, okay, let me paint this situation in your head for you. And your brain not knowing the difference between reality and what's in your head, your body's gonna react to whatever it is. Similar to anxiety in general, when you think of a situation, your body starts to tense up, your mouth gets dry, heart starts beating real fast because you feel like it's happening. You know it's not happening, but your body doesn't because it feels so real in your mind. You're like, can't be doing that. The next way to get anxiety for less than $100 would be, say, I wonder, and add a negative situation onto it. This happens a lot, mainly in relationships, where a person, something happens, and like, I wonder if they're doing X, Y, and Z. And they start freaking out, and the next thing you know, your brain starts to put these imaginary situations in your head, and you're like, ah. Next thing you know, you believe in these situations because they're playing over and over and over in your mind. You're like, what does one do after that?